Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser, along with Justin and Afri. We got a busy show. We got Week 5 of the NFL. We got a new quarterback starting for the Browns. We got receiver injuries in the NFL. We got Lamar Jackson too. He might miss time for the Ravens. But before we get to that, we got to get to the baseball. We got to get to last night, and we got to get to the Red Sox beating the Yankees 3-1 last night. They're up 1-0 on the Yankees right now. Last night's game, and I'll start with my biggest takeaways from the. But we'll start with just go through the game. And Garrett Crochet, both pitchers were outstanding. Both pitchers were outstanding. Both pitchers were absolutely phenomenal last night. Crochet 7 2/3, 11 strikeouts, only allowed 1 earned run. And Max Fried, 6 1/3, didn't allow a run. He came out of the game with the 8 and 9 hitter up, and in the 7th inning. And Aaron Boone decided to take him out, and that's when things started to turn for the Yankees. So phenomenal starting pitching. But my big takeaways from last night on the Yankees side, first, Aaron Boone has got to have a feel for the game. Aaron Boone has got to have a feel for the game. I know Max Fried has thrown 102 pitches, but he is your ace. He is your ace. I don't think you should take him out then. You have the 8 and 9 hitter up. You have nobody on in the 7th inning with the 8 and 9 hitter up. Rafaela had not gotten a hit yet. They had not gotten a hit yet. Sogard, I get he had 1 hit. But I did not. That's the one thing I did not get from Aaron Boone, that he took out Max Fried when he did. Number 2, and this might be the biggest thing. Why was Ahmed Rosario hitting 5th and Jazz Chisholm not playing? How does Ahmed Rosario in a playoff game get 3 at-bats and Jazz Chisholm none? Why are they platooning Ahmed Rosario and Jazz Chisholm? I do not get that at all. I do not get that at all. And then lastly, for me, Giancarlo Stanton with the base. He had a rough night last night. They had the moment. Yankees had the momentum in the first inning, first and second, 1 out. He hits into the double play. Then in the 9th inning, bases loaded, no outs. You have got to get your bat on the ball there. You've got to get your bat on the ball. So 3 things for me. The 3 things it came down to for me: taking Fried out, not playing Jazz Chisholm, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous from Aaron Boone, and then Stan not getting the bat on the ball. And their manager having more of a feel for the game than ours, and them having more timely hitting is the reason they're up 1-0 on the Yankees right now.
Yeah, I'll start with my takeaway too with Max Fried to start off here. Yeah, you put it perfectly. I've been saying this for years. Aaron Boone has no feel for the game. He'll never get any feel for the game. Again, because that's what the book told him to do, to take him out and go to Luke Weaver. And that's exactly what he does. And he has no idea how to deviate from any other plan that either it's in his mind or in the front office's mind that tell him what to do. He has no idea what he's doing out there yet again. And that ground ball it was a ground ball when he got pulled there to first base. It's not like they had. Again, I would have understood it was a hard contact to like center field. He just missed it or something. I would have understood that, but it wasn't. It was a soft ground ball. Let Fried stay out there because you don't trust anybody in that pen. Just leave him out there till let him ride him. That's why you pay the guy 200 what $40 million, I think it was. That's why you pay those guys that money. Just leave them in there. But no, Alex Cord diced him into again a million different pieces because he is, Alex Cord's a billion times better than him. Yeah, secondly for me, the Rosario Chisholm thing makes. If you're gonna do that, why not play Rosario at third base and put Jazz at second? So because Rosario was 6 for 9 going the game against Rochette, that's a small sample size. But then you hit Rosario for Jazz. But do you know where Rosario was against Chapman? 3 for 7. 3 for 7. That's not bad. So why would you? If the point was because he had good numbers against Rosario or against Crochet, he had pretty good numbers too in a short sample size against Chapman. So why would you pitch him there? I don't get it. Like he just doesn't. Again, he played right into Core's hands. All Core wanted Rice on the bench, so he went Crochet right to Chapman to neutralize Ben Rice on the. Cora is a billion steps ahead of Boone, and Boone still can't get his head out of you know what.
Exactly.
And and then third is the lineup. You had your chance in the first inning. You got to jump on a guy like Crochet like that, but double play ball, a strikeout. And what do the Red Sox do? The Eaton hit. That's a blooper in the center field. Or blooper, I mean, down the first base line. That's the Red Sox don't try to kill everything. Just put the ball in play. The ninth inning, just put a ball in play. Just put a contact play on. They can't even do that right. That's why I can't trust this team because the 11-2 run at the end, that did nothing for me because they played a bunch of minor league teams. No, and again, now you're playing good baseball teams and you can't hit good pitching yet again. At least Judge had a couple of hits. Maybe that gets him going. At least Volpe had a homer. He's been good in the postseason. But other than that, I guess Goldie had 2 hits as well. But what a joke in that ninth inning. You have him on the ropes. And so that's my take, just the lineup. Just getting contact. Why is it so hard to why we don't need to swing for the fence? Just do what Nick Eaton did and just bloop one over the first base. Just do that. Yep. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But again, we're all just trying to swing for a grand slam to win the game. Just keep the line moving.
Yeah, and I don't get on the lineup throughout the game because I thought Crochet was excellent. But you have got to get on the lineup for the ninth inning. The ninth inning was inexcusable. You got to score a run there. You have to score. You got to score there. You have bases loaded, nobody out, and you didn't score. And you didn't score a run. You got to score a run there. And yeah, you're just right about Boone just having no feel for the game. And yeah, with the Fried stuff, yeah, if it was a hard hit ball, you would understand. But it wasn't even. It was a ground ball to first base. Ground ball to first base with the 8 and 9 hitter up, and he takes out Max Fried, your best pitcher. And here's the thing: you know your bullpen is the biggest weakness of your team. The only guy you can trust in that bullpen is David Benhart. Benhart is the only guy you can trust in that bullpen. The bullpen is the biggest weakness of your team, and you take out the starter after he's been pitching a shutout into the 7th inning. You take him out. That is the biggest weakness of your team. I don't understand. I just don't understand that. You look at the Red Sox. They clearly have a better bullpen, and they kept Crochet in because Alex Cora had a feel for the game.
Yeah, you're completely right. He had a feel for the game. He let him throw 117 pitches, and yeah, Boone, the first sign, the book tells him to take him out there and go to Luke Weaver, who had a 9 ERA in the month of September.
Oh my God!
6 outings were better, but again, it was against the White Sox and the Orioles. What keeps you away from those 2 teams? Not that because even that Bender gave up a run last night. So now it's even you're kind of. I'm worried about him tonight if you get in that situation.
I'm not worried about him in a save situation. That was a non-save situation. I'm not. He's the one really I'm not worried about. The rest of them, I am worried about.
Yeah, I am too. At least Devin Williams looked like I know he walked the first guy, but at least he looked good after he settled in there and got out of it. So at least Williams looked good. But yeah, I just it's Boone having no feel for a baseball game. And again, and I've said this for a while, I don't think he's a top 10 manager. And I think, if this guy like managed the Colorado Rockies or Pittsburgh Pirates, those teams would win like 50 games with him as manager because he has no clue what he's doing. And he looks out because he's got a team like the Yankees that have a high payroll that has good players that could kind of bail him out on nights. He's not getting bailed out now. So, you know, I don't know if you saw Jazz's interview last night. He had his back turned to the media, not happy. Maybe this is what the clubhouse needs to turn on Boone finally, because I would hope, because man, that was he protected Verdugo all the postseason, but now you don't do it here. You protect Verdugo, but you don't protect Jazz, who had a WAR 5. Like, come on, wake up! Even if it's you or the front office, somebody has to have some clue in there. Put your best 9 out there.
Yeah, I know it's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that would happen. It's absolutely ridiculous that Jazz Chisholm's not playing that game. That honestly might even be a bigger issue than him taking Fried out, because okay, a lot of teams take. I know we don't agree with. A lot of people didn't agree with taking Fried out, but a lot of teams nowadays take pitchers out at that point after they throw 100 pitches. But the Jazz thing you don't get at all. And I didn't see the Jazz interview, but he's right to have his back turned towards the media, because he should have been playing. He should have had that back. You're starting Ahmed Rosario over Jazz Chisholm. You shouldn't be platooning that. Jazz Chisholm is one of your better hitters. He should have been playing the game. And the thing is, when you're facing a pitcher like Crochet, when you do something like that, that makes things even worse. You can't have any self. You can't be hurting yourself when you're facing a pitcher like Garrett Crochet.
Yeah, but Aaron Boone overthinks every little decision that he every little thing he overthinks it. Yeah. And that's the problem. Because and then you're telling Jazz to come in and pitch hitting at Chapman. The guy hasn't swung a bat in 3-4 hours, and hey, now you got to face under 2, so gear up, get ready.
Yeah.
Like good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. You can't really, you can do the best you can down the batting cages, but it's not going to simulate. I don't think it simulates what you're going to see, from what you're getting for Chapman. So it just yet again Boone. But again, the front office will probably tell you, like last year, they were, Cashman told you he was fine with the Cortez move in game 1. He'll probably tell you he agreed with the Rosario decision batting 5th. That's the other thing, having him bat 5th with the small.
Oh my God.
They'll agree with you. And that's why Boone will still be here for 30 more years, because they agree. They think they're the Tampa Bay Rays, and they're not. They're just not.
And the thing is you had him in the lineup, which is bad enough. You had him batting 5th. You had him batting behind Giancarlo Stanton, and you had a guy behind him who hit 33 home runs in Trent Grisham.
Yeah.
You had him batting 5th. That made just absolutely
the righty lefty.
No sense at all. Oh God.
The righty lefty.
Now I get what Corey
cares about that. Corey really cares about, because Corey really cares about that. He just shoved Chapman down their throats. Exactly. The righty lefty really came to a factor there.
Yeah, I know. It's just righty lefty. So righty lefty matters. It's like you have like a situation with the Red Sox. You have a bunch of outside of Story, Duran, and Bregman. You have a bunch of average guys. Yeah, the platooning matters. The platooning makes sense. It makes 0 sense to platoon when you have Jazz Chisholm and Ahmed Rosario. Jazz Chisholm is the much better player. Jazz Chisholm is a good player. Ahmed Rosario is a below average player. You don't put a below average player in for a really good player.
Yeah, no, you don't. But again, a short sample size of 6 or 9, I guess, does that for him, because it makes no sense. Yeah,
it makes absolutely no sense.
Again, if he was 20 for 30, sure, I could see it. But 9 at bats, I don't think that's enough at bats. And you saw last night, he did not swing the bat well. So that was just the issue there. Boone's gonna. I've been saying this for years. Boone is the reason. Boone has costed him many of these games, and Alex Cora just continues. 0-3, the Boone home run in 0-3 is the biggest. That's the Yankees' curse moment of all time, because I don't think 0-4 happens. I don't. Boone's not the manager today.
Yeah.
It's just such a cursed moment. I feel like it, because the Red Sox have owned him since.
The thing with the Boone home run is they didn't win the World Series. They lost the World Series. They didn't even win the World Series. That's the Boone home run. They didn't win the World Series after the Boone home run. I know we're kind of I know we should be happy for a year they got to the World Series and they beat the Red Sox in that dramatic of a fashion, but they didn't win the World Series because of the Boone home run.
No, they didn't. They did not. They lose to the Miami Marlins of all teams.
Yeah.
In what, 6 games? I think it was.
6 games. Yeah. Beckett pitched a complete game in Game 6. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, Josh Beckett. They never touched him either when he was on the Sox. He's the guy that always shut down the Yankees.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Boone again. It wasn't all him, but some of the moves he made last night were just head scratching. They were just head scratching moves. They just definitely were. Now we'll move on to game 2 and get into. We'll start with the Yankees. What they have to do to come back and win this series. And it all starts with Carlos Rendon tonight. Rendon's got to be good. And listen, there have been a lot of times this year where the Yankees have had losing streaks where Rendon has pitched well. So that's the key for tonight for the Yankees is Rendon to pitch well. And number 2, they need to get more out of Bellinger, Stanton, and Grisham. Combined 1 for 12. And Grisham's probably going to play because Bello's a righty. So they need to get more out of Bellinger, Stanton, and Grisham. They were combined 1 for 12. They've been really good for the Yankees all season long. They need to get more out of those guys. So 2 things for me. Need to get more out of the 3 of those guys. Because if you get more out of the 3 of those guys, that's even going to help Judge even more. That's even going to give Judge even more opportunities, give Judge even more protection. And then if you get a good start from Rendon, that gives you a chance to even the series and get it to Thursday night.
Yeah, for me, I agree with you. Stan, the middle of the order, Stan, Bellinger, Grisham, those guys, they got to play like they did during the regular season. Those guys combined for almost 100 home runs. Those 3, and they need to produce tonight. They're going to need them because they did hit Bell well the second time around. The last time around they faced him just a couple weeks ago. My other one in this one is how about we grind out some at bats tonight? We had 13 strikeouts last night with 0 walks. The rally started for the Red Sox last night was Rafael's 11-pitch walk when Weaver had him 0-2 too. So the Yankees grind out some at bats tonight. All right, like they are a horrible 2-strike approach team, but tonight let's go out there, get a 9-10 a pitch at bat. Let's have a couple of those. Start a rally. So for me, staying and grinding out bats tonight could be huge.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It definitely will be big. Grinding out at bats. That's definitely going to be big. Now get to the Red Sox side of things, and I'll start for them. They need a good start from Brian Bale. They need a good start from Bale. They need him to have a good start. And number 2, because this is Bale's not going to get into the 8th inning. I think he goes maybe if he pitches well 6, 7 into the 7th at most. So they're going to need their bullpen, which has been really, really good all year. Their bullpen has been really good. Second in bullpen ERA. I mean, Garrett Whitlock. People talk about Aroldis Chapman. Garrett Whitlock has had a really, really good year for the Red Sox. So, and they got Weiser and they got Berardino in that bullpen. So they need their bullpen to be as good as it was last year. So my 2 keys for the Red Sox is their Bayo. And if they need their bridge to Aroldis Chapman to be as good as it's been all year.
Yeah, for me, my first one, Boston for the Red Sox, use their speed again. That Story stole that base in the 9th inning. What does that do? That leads to tack
Alex
on
Bregman.
That's another one. Why did Boone pitch that Bregman there? Just put him on. How many times has he killed us in the postseason?
Put him on and pitch to low. Put him on and pitch to low.
Yeah.
But again, righty lefty.
Yeah.
Benard's a righty, and they got it. Then Lowe's a lefty, but Bregman is a better player than Nathaniel Lowe. He's a better player. We got to stop with this righty lefty thing. Okay, this is these managers are getting way too into this righty lefty thing. It's everyone. Even Cora at times gets into the righty lefty thing. All these managers get way into this righty lefty thing. If the guy could play, he could play. Stop worried about this righty lefty thing. It's crazy around. It's all over baseball. It's all over baseball. This righty lefty thing. They got to stop with that. But that was the reason why they pitched to Bregman last night, because the righty lefty thing. And Boone loves them.
Yep.
Boone's all into that.
Yep, because then Boone brought in Tim Hill anyways after. That's why it just makes no sense. So that's another thing. The speed, the Red Sox speed cost the Yankees last night, and then they even took the extra base. I think it was Nick Eaton's his other hit. They took it. He went to second because they tested Judge Arm, and obviously he can't put everything behind him right now. So they took an extra base. So use that again. And number 2 for me is Alex Bregman. He's been a Yankee killer in the postseason. And I think again tonight in a big spot. If he's got a guy on first and second, something like that, I think he comes up clutch again against the Yankees. So he's killed them, and I think tonight again the Yankees got to be very careful against them with guys on. And concern me as we just talked about, because Boone will probably attack him right at they're not going to try to they'll go right at him and he'll cost them yet again.
Yeah, and here's the thing about last night. Last night on the Red Sox side of this, Craig Breslow's offseason showed Craig Breslow should feel really good about last night because it just shows you that all of his moves worked. All his moves he made in the offseason, trading for Garrett Crochet, he was outstanding. Going out and signing Alex Bregman, got the big hit to put the Sox up 3-1. And then getting a Aroldis Chapman, he closed out the game last night. All of those moves worked out last night. Last night showed you that the Red Sox had a great offseason. They improved because they went out in the offseason and they made moves. They didn't rely on their farm system like what Chaim Bloom wanted to do. Last night proved to you why firing Chaim Bloom 2 years ago and hiring Craig Breslow was a great move by that ownership group.
Yeah, Breslow's done a nice job. Heim did get Garrett Whitlock from the Yankees in the Rule 5,
right.
I believe. I think he was in Rule 5.
Yeah.
So Heim's done a good job building that farm system. That they got coming up now.
But he's not getting Garrett Crochet. Chaim Bloom's not getting
No.
Chaim Bloom's not trading Kyle Teel. He's not trading his prospects. He's not trading his prospect to get Garrett Crochet. There's no way that's happening.
No, and remember they got Crochet 4 days after the Yankees signed Fried because they lost out in the Fried sweepstakes. So that was their plan B there, and it's worked out for him. So Bledsoe's done a nice job. It's definitely been up and down for him, but obviously with the Devers stuff and all that. But last night, last night showed a lot and showed us a lot. With the going out getting Crochet. Signing Chapman was good. A couple of the other bullpen guys that they got as well. So, Breslow's done a really nice job, and it's a young team still that has a lot of potential. And we'll see. They got a lot of money to spend now this offseason because you got the Devers contract off the books.
So we'll see what happens. But the season's still going for the Red Sox, and for the series right now, who advances? I picked the Yankees. I thought the Yankees were in good shape before last night, but since this wild card 3-game series came into effect in 2022, the record of the team that wins game one of these series is 12-0. It's 12-0. So until I see a team that loses game one win, I can't pick a team that loses game one to win. So I think the Red Sox are going to advance here. I think the Red Sox are going to advance here. And I know you think the Red Sox are going to advance because I've been more optimistic about the Yankees than you have been this year. So really the question is, say the Yankees lose this series, should Aaron Boone be back as manager? I know the question I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. No, he should not. Because again, it's how many times in the postseason has he made mistakes like this? The Nestor Cortez last year, the Davey Garcia, Jay Happ situation. Yeah. It just he's made so many bad decisions in the postseason, and at some point, I know Cashman always agrees with him, but at some point, this team needs to take the next step. And I know we got the World Series last year, but actually, now this isn't all Boone. But do you know the last time the Yankees have won a postseason series that's not against an AL Central team and not counting the one-game wild card?
Last time against a non-AL Central team. Let me think. Let me think about this one. I got to really let me think about this one. I'm going to say 2012 against the Orioles.
You're correct.
With Girardi. When CC pitched game 5.
Yep. So that's been a long time. And I know that's not all Boone, but that just shows you how long it's been that they have not beaten the Astros. They haven't beaten the Red Sox. They haven't even beaten the Rays in these games. It's just so frustrating. And he can't. I know that he's probably going to come back anyways because they're going to tell you they'll make some excuse about saying missing half of the year that they didn't have Cole all year. They're going to make all those excuses, and I'm ready for it because that's all they do. But he's not a good manager. Look. I know we're going to get another analytical manager, and that's fine. But at least maybe it's a guy that has a gut and has a feel and won't always go with the book. That's all I'm looking for. I know Billy Martin ain't coming back. I know we're not getting a Joe Girardi. I'm just looking for an analytical manager that knows or that just has some feel for a baseball game. That's all I'm looking for. And Boone doesn't have it. And Boone will never get the feel. It's been 7 years. He hasn't gotten it now. He never will.
Yeah, here's my thing on it. Now, for people who don't want him back, he's going to be back. He's going to be back because he signed that contract extension before the season. Now, I'm going to say yes, and here's my reason why. Last year, he got this team somewhere where they hadn't been in 15 years, and you have to give him credit for that. And even if they win game one of that World Series, I don't know if they win the World Series anyways because the Dodgers were the better team. The Dodgers were better than the Yankees last year. So and most of the series he loses, and their series he loses where the team's just better. The Astros in 2022 were better than the Yankees. And now 2020 with the Rays, you can debate that. Yeah, Boone definitely had his hand in that series. But in 2019, I think the Astros are better than the Yankees too. So and listen, he's 5-0 when the Yankees have home field advantage. So he doesn't lose this might be the one time he does, but he usually doesn't lose to teams that are in the playoff that the Yankees are better than. The problem is he can't beat teams that the Yankees are not better than. That's the problem. That's the issue with Aaron Boone. He can't beat teams that the Yankees are not better than. Now, why? But I will bring him back. I think number one, I know Garrett. You think the Garrett Cole thing's an excuse? It is a reason. It is a reason because they would have won the division if Garrett Cole was healthy. So that is one of the reasons why I'll bring him back. And the other reason is last year he took them somewhere where they hadn't gone in 15 years. So those are my two reasons why I give Aaron Boone, even if they lose the series, I give Aaron Boone one more shot. I give Aaron Boone one more shot. Then if they don't get to a World Series in 2026, I do fire Aaron Boone. But I give him one more shot after this year.
Yeah, for me, I've already seen it. I just don't. Yeah, I don't think he's getting better as a manager. I just don't think so. Again, I know Judge probably wants him, and I know Cole. I know probably the guys in the clubhouse like him, and that's probably going to be the thing too. That's going to keep him around is the guys in the clubhouse. Now, Jazz, maybe not. Maybe he could get some guys to turn against Boone, which would be I would not mind, but I've just seen it before, and again, I think game one, if the Yankees win game one last year, I think it's a different story because I know you could say game five, but do they make all those mistakes with the season on the line? Do they play a little bit more relaxed in that game?
Maybe they do. Maybe they do play a little bit more relaxed. But let's be honest, they also were down 0-3 in that series to the Dodgers. Usually if you're down 0-3 in a series, you're not the better team. So I just didn't think I thought the better team won that World Series last year. I know Aaron Boone made a questionable decision in game one, but I think the better team won that series. So I just feel that with the Cole injury and where they were and what Boone did the year Boone had last year, I give him one more shot. I give him one more shot after this. Even if they lose this Red Sox series, I give him one more. I know I'm in the minority. A lot of Yankee fans want him fired.
Yeah,
but I give him one more shot.
Yeah, I just can't. I've just seen this story way too many times with Aaron Boone. I'm just tired. I'm just sick and tired of it, and I can't take this team seriously until they get a new manager. I really can't. I'm done. I've been out since the Miami series.
Yeah, because you weren't buying into them. You were not. I tell you, even when I was saying, they're starting. They went 7-5 in that 12-game stretch in September. You weren't buying it. You were not buying into them.
No, because I just know what this team is. They don't hit in the postseason when they face talented pitching. They're going to make the same dumb mistakes. The Red Sox and Toronto are just bad matchups for them. I just don't trust the guy in the dugout, and I never have, and I never will. I'm done. I'm done kind of believing until they get a new manager here, or until they change the things. Till they just change some things. Fundamentally. But again, I know they won't, and I know they're not gonna get better under Aaron Boone in those situations. So I'm done. I'm done, and I'm done buying in this team, and I haven't for a while now, and I won't buy back in seriously until they get a new manager. Because again, if they had to play the Astros, the Red Sox, or the Rays last in the postseason, they don't get to World Series. They wouldn't. I don't care how good they were. You can't convince me otherwise. You got teams to beat the teams that you got to beat, and they did it. So good for them. But they faced non-NL AL Central teams. I don't think they would have made the World Series because it's the same story every year when they face somebody that can compete with them.
Yeah, that's a good point there. That's a good point there. So we'll see what happens with the Yankees and Red Sox. Big game tonight. Game 2 of their series tonight in the Bronx at 6:00. But we got to move on to the other American League series. Yesterday, the Tigers won 2-1 over the Guardians thanks to a great start from Tarek Skubal. 14 strikeouts, struck out 14 guys. Tigers up 1-0 in their series. And we'll start with the Tigers and what they got to do to close out the series. And number one for me, Mize has got to be good. He already gave up a home run in the first inning, but they're playing right now. The Guardians lead the Tigers 1-0 in the bottom of the second. But Yeah, Mize has got to be good, and then they need more at the bottom of their lineup. They're 6, 7, and 8, 6 through 8 guys were 0 for 10, so they need more. They need more out of that if they want to get back to the division series. Justin, what are the Tigers got to do to get back to the division series?
Yeah, for me, my kind of first career postseason start, I kind of had navigated out of that first inning without giving up a run. Obviously, he did that. So, but they need him to have a strong start here to help out that bullpen. And then number two, the middle of the lineup's got to produce. They need Gleyber Torres, they need Riley Green, Spencer Torgerson, Kerry Carpenter to kind of get going, get that offense kind of a couple runs here, put them in good shape to put the Guardians kind of in behind the 8 ball here. But unfortunately, they're already down 1-0 this one.
Alrighty, now looking at the Guardians side of this, they're down 0-1. They were hot at the end of the year. They pretty much stole the division from the Tigers. What do the Guardians got to do? For me, Bibby's got to be good. Pitch two shutout innings for them, and their offense needs to score more than 1 run. They've already scored 1 run because they got a home run in the first inning. So they're right as of right now, they're doing the things they need to do to get back to even this series. Justin, what do the Guardians got to do to even this series and come back and win this series and try to get back to the ALCS where they were last year?
Yeah, for me, for the Guardians, they got to put the ball in play. They have 14 strikeouts, or 15 strikeouts yesterday. School about 14 of them. Because they're really good at just putting the ball in play, and they can play small ball in that. They got some guys that can run. So that's for me, number one for them. Number two is their defense. Both runs yesterday were unearned. They've been solid all year defensively. They only 99 errors on the year. They got to be better there defensively because Gavin Williams pitched well, but the defense behind him gave up a couple there. So for Cleveland, yeah, putting the ball in play, playing small ball, which they do, and the defense has got to be better.
Yeah, absolutely. Now moving on to the National League, the Dodgers last night had a power surge. They scored 10 runs. They got 2 home runs from Shohei Ohtani, 2 home runs from Teoscar Hernandez. They beat the Reds 10-5. And looking at the Dodgers, what do they got to do to close this thing out tonight? And for me, Yamamoto's got to be good. But here's one big key to the Dodgers. This middle relief has got to be better for them. This relief is what's going to keep the Dodgers from the World Series is their bullpen. And let me tell you, that should not have been last night. That should not have been that game should have been not have been watchable in the 8th inning, and it was. And that's because the Dodger bullpen has not been good. Has been bad this year. The Dodger bullpen has been bad. That's what's holding this team back. That's why they're the third. It's amazing. We thought the Dodgers would be head and shoulders the number 1 seed in the National League. That's why this team is the 3rd seed, and there's a very good chance, even without Zach Wheeler, they can lose the Phillies. Their bullpen, let me tell you, their bullpen is not good, and it showed last night. So their bullpen has got to be better. Because let me tell you, say Littell has a good start. And this is maybe the Dodgers. It's like a 2-1 because you can't rely on the Dodgers to score 10 runs every game. Say it's going to be a 2-1 game tonight, and Littell has a good start, and the Dodger bullpen has got to come. It's got to come in. Do you trust that Dodger bullpen to hold a lead in a close game? I'm picking them to go to the World Series just because how good their starting pitching is and how great their lineup is. But this bullpen is a question mark. It's a question mark, and it needs to be better if the Dodgers want to make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah. For me, it's the same thing. Like I had Yamamoto's got to go deep tonight because man, that bullpen it's a gas can right now. It might be worse than the Yankees bullpen.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's worse. I think it's worse.
Yeah, they're paying Tanner Scott like $18 million a year, something like that, to close out games, and he's been dreadful this year. He's been bad, and yeah, you're right. That game never should have been a contest last night, and Dodgers bullpen made that thing interesting because they tattooed Hunter Green, but yeah, their bullpen's got to be fixed, and then yeah, just my other thing is because of how bad their bullpen is, their lineup's going to have to try to put up 7-8 runs a night because no lead safe with this Dodgers bullpen right now.
Not at all. And now looking at the Reds end of this for me, Littell, they went out and traded for him at the trade deadline. He's got to be great. And the offense, the top of the Reds lineup got to be better. They went 1 for 17 last night. For me, that's what the Reds got to do. Justin, what do the Reds got to do to make a great comeback and shock everyone and get to the NLDS?
Yeah, for the Reds in this one, Littell's got to pitch well just to help out, save that bullpen a little bit. They used a lot of guys last night, so they do need him to try to go deeper in this one. Number 2, grind out at bats against Yamamoto. Get to that pen as early as possible tonight. Try to see if we can get a lead here tonight and put some pressure on the Dodgers there.
All righty, so we'll wrap up talking about the Padres and the Cubs. Cubs winning yesterday 3-1 to go up 1-0. They're back at it today at 3:00. For me, for the Cubs to close this thing out, they won yesterday, but they can't rely. But that was because they got a good start out of Matt Boyd. They can't. The offense got to do more today. Especially Kroll, Armstrong, Suzuki, and Tucker. They went 0 for 10 yesterday. They got to be better than that. But if they are, I do feel like they're going to get to the next round.
Yeah, for me, sure. Imanaga, I know Kintrich is going to open, but Imanaga is going to be kind of the bulk guy. Last couple starts, he's not had his command. He needs it today. Against a Padres team that has not hit well lately in the postseason. I do have numbers coming up on that. So, but today again, I'd be in the bullpen was key yesterday. They went 4 2/3, 0 walks, and didn't allow a hit yesterday. So the bullpen's got to be good again, just in case Imanaga doesn't give him a great start. Bullpen's got to be locked down again.
It definitely has to be. And then you look at the Padres. They need to start from Cease, but the biggest Achilles heel for the Padres is I think this offense is underachieved all year. And that's why they didn't win the division. That's why they're playing the wild card round. That's why they're facing elimination today. Because outside of Machado, this offense has struggled, and it did yesterday. It really did. The top 4 hitters in that lineup, Tatis, Machado, Merle, and Tatis and Arise went 1 for 14. That just can't happen. They need to be better. They need to be better for them to get back into the series.
Yeah, they do. You talk about that offense. 1 run now in the last 33 innings in postseason baseball. That's not going to get done. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, so they're the offense guy get it going quickly today. Number 2 is Cease. I've never liked Dylan Cease. I don't think he's a big time pitcher. They need, with the season on the line, I hate the matchup for him. He's got to give him everything he's got today. He's got to have a solid start. He was drafted by the Cubs, traded to the White Sox for Jose Quintana. So maybe that's a bit of edge for him today, and he shut them down. But they need a big start from Cease, especially because, as I just said, that lineup's done nothing in the postseason of the last 3 games.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, for the winners, I got all the teams that won yesterday, winning today, and advancing on to the next round. I picked the Red Sox. I'm gonna take the Tigers. I'm gonna take the Cubs, and I'm gonna take the Dodgers. I got them all winning today.
Yeah, I got Boston in 2. I got Detroit in 3. Cubs in 2. Dodgers in 2. So I only got 1 game 3 right now.
Yeah, it's just hard to pick a team that lost yesterday to win their series because it's never happened. So you gotta believe it until you see it. You gotta believe it until you see it. So it should be an interesting postseason. Division series starts this weekend. Should be very, 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 very interesting. But we got a busy week 5 in the NFL. But before we talk about that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEG's Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEG's Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
Alrighty, week 5 is upon us in the NFL, and we start with a matchup in the NFC West as the 3-1 Niners head to LA to face the Rams. And I think this game obviously will be close and competitive, but I'm going to go with the team that I feel like defense is going to play better, quarterback play is going to be better, and the team is going to run the ball better. I think that Kyron Williams is going to have a good day on the ground. I think Matthew Stafford will throw 2 or 3 touchdowns. I think Brock Purdy scraps. I think he hangs in there in this game, but I think he turns the ball over once in this game. I think he has a turnover because I felt like they kind of rushed him back last week. I really feel like the Niners kind of rushed him back. And you saw last week how much that Niners defense misses Nick Bosa, especially on the ground, giving up all those yards to Travis Etienne. You could see how that Niners defense misses Nick Bosa. I think this is a close, competitive game, but I'm going with the Rams here. I got the Rams on Thursday Night Football to beat the Niners 27-20. But Justin, can the 49ers bounce back this week and get into first place in the NFC West?
No, I got the same exact score as you here, 27-20 Rams. The Niners are so banged up. Turnovers killed them last week. I think he had 4 of them. And I think Brock Purdy makes some plays, but I think that Rams pass rush is going to get after him. And sounds like he's been a bit banged up. And if maybe the Rams somehow knock him out of this game if he's banged up with their pass rush. And there's just so many injuries right at the Niners. And for San Fran too, they're only averaging still 3.3 yards per rush, so they haven't gotten the running game going so far. It's been a real struggle for them, and I just don't think they're going to slow down Matthew Stafford in that Rams offense this week. I think it's going to be a tough one for him. Short week too, and there's so many guys on the injury report for the Niners. I have a hard time seeing them get knock off the Rams in this one.
To me, the Niners, they're too banged up. To me, they're too banged up to win this game. With Kittle out, with Purdy not being 100% in this game, you got Bosa out for the year. So to me, the Niners are just too banged up. They're too banged up. I think a Kyle Shanahan coach team will fight in this game. I think they'll battle, they'll compete. But you got to take the team that's more healthy here. You got to take the team that's more healthy, and the team that I picked to win the NFC West in the Rams. I just got to take the more healthy team in this spot.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do because they're the more healthy team. They're the ones going in there feeling good. And Niners coming off a tough one to a Jacksonville team that they did not play well at all last week. So it's a short week too. I have a hard time seeing the Niners knock it off Sanford. I just have a hard time seeing the 49ers knock off the Rams in this one.
All righty, we'll move on to a huge matchup in the AFC East. You got the 2-2 Pats heading to Buffalo to face the 4-0 Bills. And I think the Patriots compete here. I think that, I think it's the biggest thing with the Patriots is that 3-headed monster of Travion Henderson, Antonio Gibson, and Ramondre Stevenson has to be on. They have to, because we've seen the Bills struggles against the run, and they did last week against the Saints. That was the reason that game was close against the Saints last week, is because the Bills have really struggled to stop the run defensively. The Bills have really struggled to do that. I think the Patriots need to. I think they're gonna be able to run the ball. I think they're gonna be able to. The problem is though, I think their pass defense is going to have a lot of problems with Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's going to be a big night. He's going to have 2 or 3 touchdown passes. And I do think Drake May turns the ball over in a critical spot. I think this is a close game going into the fourth quarter, but I think Drake May makes a critical mistake and Josh Allen capitalizes on it. That's why I get the Bills going to 5-0 here. I get the Bills going to 5-0. You guys going to 2-3. I got the Bills winning this game 30-20 on Sunday night in Buffalo. But Justin, can your Patriots and Mike Vrabel and Drake May pull off a huge upset win and probably get one of their – this would probably be outside of them beating the Bills in 2021, that game with Mac Jones, this would probably be their biggest win post Brady if they get it done.
Yeah, it definitely would be. It would be a big statement for where they've been the last couple of years and where they were just a couple weeks ago. Hold on for deal life against Miami. So I think they could be close. I got the Bills 31-21. I'm with you. I think Josh Allen carves up this Patriots defense. The Bills did let the Saints hang around last week. I do agree with you. I think they're going to have a semblance of a run game. I think they'll run the ball pretty well. But again, they're going to just fall behind in this one. You're going to have to throw the ball more. And every week starting to feel more and more better about Drake May, the quarterback spot. Thought McDaniels did a good job too, kind of rolling him out, getting him to kind of move around the outside of the pocket last week. Think he's getting more comfortable in the offense. Think McDaniels starting to trust him a little bit more. So I think he makes some plays in this one. I just don't think it's enough. I don't think they don't have the talent yet to match up with Buffalo. Wouldn't be shocked if this is a close game, kind of heading in the fourth quarter, and the Bills kind of pull away here.
2 things. Yes, I like the way Drake May played. I like the way he's playing. I really like the way Drake May is playing because, if Ramondre Stevenson doesn't fumble the ball against Pittsburgh, they're 3-1. They're 3-1. And their other loss was to the Raiders in the first game of the year. So I do like the way Drake May is playing. So I think that's what gives them some sort of a shot to pull an upset. And here's the thing. If they do pull this upset, would you say they're contenders in the AFC East? Do you think they're a contender to the Bills to win this division? I'm going to say no because I've seen the Patriots pull upsets especially against the Bills post Brady. Remember that game in 2021? They won that game, that winning night in Buffalo.
The Monday night.
And then 2 years ago, they beat them. They upset them at home again. At home, not counting last year's game. You can't count last year.
You can't.
You can't count last year's
That
game.
cost us no. Yeah.
Cost
us first overall pick.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. So even if they do win, for me, I still think Buffalo wins this division by 3 or 4 games, even if they win it. Even if they do win, now they'll make it interesting because they will only be 1 game behind. But even if they do win, I still think Buffalo wins this division pretty easily. But Justin, the question for you is, if they win this game, do you think they have a chance to win the AFC East?
No, I'm with you because I think the Bills probably going like 14-3, something like that. I don't think I think the Patriots at most would win 10 games. So I still think the Bills would win that thing by 4 games. So no, I don't think so. I don't think they're there yet. I think the Bills have a lot more talent than them. I don't think they'd be there yet. The defense is still a concern to me. I know they played better last week against Carolina, but Carolina has really not been competitive on the road. So I still think the Bills will win this thing by a couple of games. I think they win this one, I feel better about their wild card chances, obviously, but other than that, I don't think they're a contender yet in the AFC. I think they're still a year or 2 away.
I think you got to feel really good about their wild card chances. The fact that Burrow's not playing, the fact that Lamar could miss time in Baltimore. So I think you got to feel really good about this team's wild card. I feel good about them. I really feel good about the wild card chances. I think this team could very easily get in at 9-8 as a wild card.
Yeah, they can. I'm still a little bit more pessimistic because of that defense. But yeah, it's a good point. You mentioned the defense because with Burrow being out all year, Lamar's going to be out for a couple of weeks. It is wide open to steal one of those wild cards because nobody else. Dolphins, Jets are kind of out of the question. The Steelers would be there. Jacksonville's
an interesting one. We're going to get to them next.
Yeah. So, and then you're probably gonna have 3 teams out of the AFC West, so you're probably gonna have to try to knock off one of those 2. So it'd be tough, but if they can get the wild card, great this year. That'd be great. So I could see them getting in there 9-8, but I still think they're just gonna miss out. I think they'll end up being like a game or 2 short, but it would be a great step forward because especially where they started for the first couple of weeks, where especially week 1, week 2, where they look pretty pathetic losing the Raiders and having to hold on against Miami.
Yeah, you definitely see improvement. That's what you want to. That's what you definitely want to see from the Patriots. Interesting game on Sunday night in Buffalo. Move on to the Monday night game between the Chiefs and the Jags. Jags been playing better. Defense has been better. ETN's been running the football better. Trevor Lawrence has been playing better. That's why I think they compete in this spot. I think they compete. It's a Monday night game. I think they compete in this spot. But at the end, I gotta take the team with I gotta take Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid here. I think Mahomes he played great last week. I think he plays well again. I think Lawrence hangs in there, but I think the difference in this game is going to be a red zone game. Jaguars kick field goals when they get in the red zone. Chiefs score touchdowns. I think Spagnola's defense makes a big play at the end, and that's why I got the Chiefs going to 3-2. I got the Chiefs winning this one 28-23. But Justin, can the Jags pull the upset and get to 4-1?
I don't think they will. I got the Chiefs as well, 20-17. I think Jags offensively I've been pretty surprised about. They've done a pretty good job getting the passer. Forced 4 turnovers last week, and I think on 3 of them they capitalized with points. But the Chiefs offensively looked a lot better last week. Now, was part of that some of how banged up the Ravens are defensively. Then Lamar goes out. Wasn't a great recipe there for Baltimore. But I do think Mahomes plays well enough. I think they make a couple scores here. I do think Jacksonville gets a turnover or 2 in this one, but I don't think it's enough because I think Lawrence returns a favor once or twice. Through 4 games already, Jacksonville's gotten 13 turnovers. So they've been pretty good in that area, but I think Kansas City, finds a way to pull out a victory at home.
They're in Jacksonville.
Oh yeah.
I think they still pull. I think they still pull out the victory. And here's the other thing about Kansas City. I think last week with Xavier Worthy, that made a difference. That made that offense more explosive. Now, are they still my favorite to go to the Super Bowl? No. But I think they proved last week that they very easily can be the second team in that division. Because if you look throughout the AFC, the Ravens are a mess right now. Do you really trust the Steelers? They're 3-1, but do you really trust the Steelers? Are they as good as the Chiefs? To me, no. You look at there's no one in the South that's as good as them, obviously. And you look at the West. I know the Chargers lead that division, but come on, we're talking about Justin Herbert here, who's never won a playoff game. And then you got the Broncos, who still they're good. Let me tell you, they were impressive last week. But you've seen the Broncos defense in 2 of their 3 losses not make a big stop when they needed to. They're supposed to be the best in the league, not make a big stop when they needed to. So for me, from what I saw last week, I think the Chiefs are the second best team in the AFC.
I need to see a little bit more from the Chiefs. I get it. They helped that Worthy got back, and I know they're going to get Rashid Rice back here in a couple of weeks. I've been high in the Chargers. Last week, it's one of those, how did they not pull it out? I would love to trust the Colts because I think the Colts are for real the way they played at LA last week. I'm going to say the Broncos figured this thing out because that Colts game, that controversial call that they probably, they won that game. I know they blew it there, but from the leaping over the center there on the field goal attempt, they probably get out. They're 3-1. They looked better last week. Against Cincinnati. I know they're a mess, but I'm gonna take Denver. I'll take Sean Payton. I still need to see a little bit more from the Chiefs.
To me, I'm taking the Chiefs. To me, I'm taking the Chiefs. And here's my reason why. The Chargers last week showed you why they're not. The Chiefs, the Colts and Chargers last week showed you why they're not as good as the Chiefs. Number one, the Chargers, their offensive line has got injuries. They have O-line injuries. Now they're going to probably get people back. But if you're in a play, if a big game at Arrowhead for the division, are you trusting Justin Herbert to beat Mahomes and Andy Reid? I'm not. I'm not trusting that. So to me, I think the Chiefs are a better team than the Chargers. The Colts, from what I saw on Sunday, three things I saw. A.D. Mitchell, that just can't happen. That can't happen. Number one, they need to be more disciplined than that. Number two, having 10 guys on the field. I don't think Shane Steichen. Do we really know how good Shane Steichen really is? He's been, they got up to a hot start, and he's a good offensive mind. But there's in-game issues that I got an issue with. 10 guys on the field, and then Daniel Jones. I know he got screwed by A.D. Mitchell, but Daniel Jones at the end of the game throws that pick. So to me, I don't have them better than the Chiefs. And then you look at the Broncos. 2 games. I have evidence of 2 games where I think their defense. I know they gave up 3 points on Monday night to the Bengals and 12 points to the Titans, but those offenses are terrible. The 2 games where they needed to make stops, the 2 times they needed to make stops in games against good teams, they didn't do it. So to me, it's Kansas City. It's clearly Kansas City. Even though they're 2-2, they're clearly the second best team in the AFC.
Yeah, I get the Broncos too. I get the Chiefs just behind them. I think the Broncos defense is going to figure some things out. This is going to test this weekend against the Eagles, going on the road. On a short week, it's a tough spot for them. But yeah, with the Chiefs, they're like it helped that Worthy got back. I think some of that last week was just how bad the Ravens, just how banged up they are defensively and how bad that defense is right now. And I do think the Chiefs defense is solid. And I'm gonna trust Sean Payton too. I get it with Herbert not trusting him, but I think Sean Payton, with Bo Nix, I feel a little bit more comfortable with. Putting him in good spots, and I know Bo Nix hasn't gotten off to a terrific start there, but I'll trust Sean Payton with Bo Nix and in a big spot. They had to go to Kansas City and win a football game, so I have the Broncos just a little bit better because I do think that defense is around in the form at some point, and I think the Broncos defense is just a little bit better than the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's see what happens. Chiefs big game in Jacksonville this week. So now we go to the London game and. Dylan Gabriel, as announced earlier today, has taken over as the Browns starting quarterback. And you knew Joe Flacco wasn't going to last long as the Browns starting QB. He was terrible. And holding a team back, has a really good defense. Holding a team back is a really good defense. Joe Flacco's been terrible, so he gets benched. Dylan Gabriel starts this week. He's got a brutal matchup against a Brian Flores-led defense. Just not a matchup you want to play in your first game as a Brian. You're going up against the best defensive coordinator in football. He's going to see a lot of blitzes. He's going to see a lot of things. It's a very confusing defense to play, the Viking defense. So they're going to need Quinshon Judkins to have a big game, which I think Brian Flores is going to game plan for him. I think it's going to be a rough day for Dylan Gabriel. I think he's going to throw a couple picks. I think that the Vikings are going to take advantage of it. I think the Vikings bounce back here. They've been in Europe last week. I know they were in Ireland. Now they're going to play in London. I'm going to take the Vikings here. I got the Vikings 20-10 over the Browns. I think Carson Wentz manages this game because he's not going to have to win this game. Like, he made mistakes last week against the Steelers because he had to win the game, and he couldn't do that. But I think this will be more – they won't blow him out like Cincinnati, but this will be more like the Bengal game where he manages it. That's why I'm going to go with the Vikings here 20-10. But, Justin, can Dylan Gabriel get a win in his first start in the NFL?
No, I I'm with you here with the Vikings. I got them 18-13. I think Gabriel, yeah, you mentioned it. It's going to be a really tough matchup for him to go up against a Brian Flores-led defense here. I think they're bringing a lot of pressure on him. Gabriel played a lot of football in college, and I think that's what is going to help here. That he's seen a lot of different things, but we'll see how he kind of adjusts here against Flores defense, and I think it's gonna be a tough day for him because I'm with you. I think the Vikings are going to try to stop that running game and make Dylan Gabriel be one dimensional. I think he struggles in that area, and he'll throw a pick and two in this one. I think Carson Wentz and that Vikings defense make make him pay for it. And I think the Vikings win an ugly, low scoring football game.
Yeah, I agree. Vikings ugly and low scoring. And now going back to Gabriel being the starter for the Browns, I think the big question is Shedeur Sanders going to play this year? And I look through their schedule. I think by late December, early late December, I think he's going to play because I just don't think Gabriel's going to keep them in the race, and they're going to be at like 9-10 losses by the end of December. Their defense is good. They might win games because of their defense, and they have some favorable games. They got the Jets, they got the Dolphins, they got the Raiders on that schedule, so they got some favorable matchups. But I think by the end of the year, we're going to see Shedeur Sanders. They already benched Flacco. They're probably going to eventually bench Gabriel. I think by the end of the year, we're going to see Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, I think it's very possible because the Browns they'll probably have a top 3 pick. I don't think any of the quarterbacks coming out of the draft right now are top 3 draftable guys, but Cleveland might need to find one if Gabriel doesn't look good. And then, hey, maybe you try Shedeur for a couple games, see if he's the answer. And Shores and either I could see, them trying to draft somebody. So, yeah, I do think they're going to give Shedeur a couple games to see if he could be somebody they can rely on in the future as a future NFL quarterback. Well, time will tell. So I agree. I think, late in the year where they have a bunch of late home games. I think they got one in the last week of November at home. Then they got 3 in the month of December. So we know the weather ain't going to be good in Cleveland. So they try to get fans to get to those games. I could see Shedeur Sanders starting a couple of those home games in December.
I definitely could. I absolutely could. Now we'll move on to a pretty good matchup in Philadelphia between the 2-2 Broncos. They looked good last week, taking on the Eagles. And I think this is going to be a close competitive game. But I'm going to take the Eagles because of their run game and their defense. I think Saquon Barkley's going to have a good week. I think the Broncos are not as good against the run as they are against the pass. I think the Eagles are going to be able to run the ball pretty well. I do think the Broncos are going to move the ball against the Eagle defense, but I think they're going to kick field goals. I don't think they're going to score one touchdown. They're going to kick a lot of field goals. I think the game's going to come down to the end, like it did last week against the Bucs for the Eagles. And I think this Eagles defense is going to make a big play, like they did last week, and they picked off Baker Mayfield. I think this Eagles defense makes another big play. And that's why I'm even with the distractions, we'll get to it, between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, I still got the Eagles winning this game and going to 5-0. I got the Eagles winning it 24-19 over the Broncos. But Justin, can Sean Payton and Bo Nix, keep the momentum going and hand the Eagles their first loss of the year?
I'm with you. I got the Eagles 23-20. I just think it's a tough spot for Denver. You played on Monday night. Now you got to travel east, for an early kick on Sunday. I think it's a tough travel spot for him. I think Bo Nix plays decent in this one. I think he makes a couple plays. But I think for the Eagles, they do get some semblance of a running game because they really haven't gotten that going through the first couple of weeks so far. And, I think for this Eagles team, doesn't this feel like 2 years ago when they were like 10-1 and it was like, this is kind of fluky. Like they're not playing like a 10-1 football team and then things kind of fell apart for them. It kind of feels like it right now.
You're good point. It is. It is starting to feel like it. It really is. And I think a big reason why it's feeling like it is this. To me, they're not as good as last year, and it is feeling like it. And I think a big reason for it is this passing game. This passing game of the Eagles. This passing game is really the only time I'm really seeing the Eagles' passing game be in sync is when they were down 20. It was that Rams game where they that come from behind win. It definitely is starting to feel a little bit similar to 2 years ago. It definitely is feeling a little bit similar to 2 years ago. And the question really is there an issue? But should the Eagles be concerned about A.J. Brown's future? And I think yes, because their passing game is very, very out of sync. Now, I just don't think Howie Roseman does it. I don't think they trade him at the trade deadline. But if this team doesn't win the Super Bowl, I think there's a very good chance A.J. Brown gets traded. I honestly think the only way A.J. Brown stays on this team is two things. It somehow gets it significantly improves, and where it's not an issue anymore, or the team wins the Super Bowl. But even if they win the Super Bowl, it doesn't significantly improve. I see him being gone. I think there's a good chance A.J. Brown is good. If this thing doesn't get better, A.J. Brown is going to be traded because is a distraction. Because you look at a team like the Cowboys, they've been giving up like 30 points to everyone, and the Eagles only scored 24 points against them. So this A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts thing, to me, it's real.
Yeah, I'm with you. It feels because it's last year. It felt like it happened a little bit, but like it wasn't weekly like it's been now. It kind of feels like there's a new issue with these two every week, and a lot of a lot of wide receivers in the NFL are drama and divas, but it doesn't happen like every week. Like AJ Brown, it seems like a problem every week. So I'm with you. Like I don't think there's any way, unless the things get so bad that they trade AJ Brown before the trade deadline. Because yeah, this is still a Super Bowl contender. They could still win the AFC if they sort their things out here. But yeah, I really think it's very likely at this point that he's not on the opening day roster next year, and he is traded, and he is elsewhere because yeah, it doesn't seem like this relationship's gonna be able to I don't know if they're gonna be able to stabilize it. They I think they'll try, but I think by the end, by next year, I don't think he'll be part of the Eagles team anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to me. You see that tweet? His Instagram post, his tweet. It was very, very cryptic, very, very telling that. Yeah, and it's hurt this team. I think it has hurt this team because you've seen their performances. Yeah, only 24 points they scored against the Cowboys. They scored 20 points against the Chiefs. They had that great comeback against the Rams thanks to Jalen Hurts. They're lucky Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback and can overcome these issues and they have a guy like Saquon Barkley who they have to. I know statistically he isn't as good this year, but a guy they have to game plan every week because this would be a much bigger issue if they didn't have those things.
Yeah, and then the special teams the last couple of weeks have come up big.
The special teams. And the special teams has been such an impact on this. It's been the most impactful it's been in 15 years. Look at your Patriots last week, man, at special teams.
Yeah.
They were really good on special teams last week. And they had the Eagles special teams. And that just shows you that this is a well-coached football team, is the way their special teams is. Look at last week. Special teams, you could argue special teams was the reason because they won the game at the end last week. And then they pretty much – the Bucs probably win that game if they don't have that block punt.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the special teams come through for them. I think the coaching staff's done a good job of the special team because special teams is such a huge part. And Bill Belichick always just kind of preach on these are the good teams are always great in the special teams, and the Eagles have definitely been able to do that, and it's definitely helped them here steal a couple of these games where they could have definitely lost in lots of weeks and ran to the Bucs. So the special teams has kind of stepped up here, and they are they were well coached team. Sirianni's growing on me here the last year or so.
120 of his last 21. He's got to go. People that talk about the press conferences and didn't like him then, and I was one of them. Just admit you're wrong at this point because Sirianni is a top 10 NFL head coach without question.
Yeah, he absolutely has been. Yeah, 20 of 21. I know that's not, that's hard to do in the NFL to go off on a streak like that. So it's been impressive, and they find ways to win every week, and that's what the great teams do. So they're a good football team, and we'll see if they can fix these issues out in the locker between AJ Brown.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening there. But we will move on to the Giants, and they will head to New Orleans this week. Jackson Dart trying to win his second start as an NFL quarterback. First game against a good defense. I thought he played pretty well last week, even though the D-line was outstanding. Joe Alt getting hurt definitely helped in that game. That definitely helped the cause. But, I think coming into this week, if the Giants want to make that Thursday night game next week against the Eagles interesting, they need to take care of business in New Orleans. And I think Jackson Dart plays well, but I think Cam Scadaboo, has a really good game here. I think it's going to be a game where Scadaboo gets over 100 yards. I think Dart has a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. I do think Kamara gets his yards on the ground because the Giants have had trouble against the run all season long. It's been an issue since Brian Daboll's got here. They just cannot stop the run. Either if it's Wink Martindale's the defensive coordinator or Shane Bowen, they cannot stop the run. I think Kamara gets his yards on the ground. And I think this game comes down right to the end. But I think this Giants pass rush makes a play against a quarterback that's never won a game in this league, and Spencer Rattler. So I'm going Giants here. I got the Giants 24-20. And Justin, do you agree with me that Jackson Dart will get to 2-0 as a starter?
Yeah, I got the Giants as well, 23-20. I thought he looked pretty good last week. It was great that they won that football game because the Chargers per play, doubled them. Yards right. I think 6.8 to 3.3. So, the two turnovers made the difference there for the Giants. I thought, he gave the locker room maybe kind of rejuvenated the whole locker room. To have him in there, he played all right. He didn't lose in the football game, which is all you want him to do. So yeah, I thought he looked pretty good. And yeah, they and I think he does play solid this week against the Saints defense. That again, I think the Saints are feisty. They're not a team that's going to quit. They're going to play hard every week, and I think their running game's going to keep them in it. But I do think Jackson Dart makes a couple more plays than Spencer Rattler does. The Giants do find a way to get 2 straight here.
Yeah, I think they do. And here's the thing about last week. Last week proved to you that that Jackson Dart was Brian Daboll's guy, because you saw the emotion from Daboll after the game. He went crazy after that win.
He did, and I think he knew too. If Dart could be the guy, that's going to save him his job. So he knows Jackson Dart could kind of keep him around in the Giants sideline a couple more years if Dart could continue to play like that, or continue to get better and continue to improve and get a couple wins on the scoreboard for the Giants in a very tough schedule coming up.
Yeah. This is why this one, if they don't win this one, they're in big trouble, because they got Philly, Denver, Philly, their next 3 games. So they definitely got to win this one. But all was not good for the Giants on Sunday, as they did lose. Unfortunately, they did lose their star receiver Malik Neighbors to a torn ACL. And the question really is here: should MetLife Stadium change to natural grass? And I'm going to say they have to. They have to. Aaron Rodgers got hurt in 2023. Malik Neighbors got hurt. Nick Bosa. Bosa, Rodgers, and Neighbors were all lost for the season with torn ACLs playing on this field. They've changed the turf already. So I think they got to go back to natural grass. They got to go back to natural grass at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, I agree with you. They got to. It's safer. I know the players like it more better. I know what you just got to do, because you mentioned a couple of examples there. There's been a lot more too. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it feels like every year you got a couple of them. Unfortunately, losing torn ACLs. I know the players have kind of asked for it too to be changed. So yeah, it's dangerous, and you would like it to change, and hopefully somebody will step in and decide to change it. But yeah, I think they got to go back to grass.
They got it. To me, they have no choice. They got to go back. They got to go back to grass, because this could ruin a guy like Malik Neighbors' career. He may never ever be the same, and I think he will. But there's a chance he may never be the same because of this. And don't forget, Odell Beckham got hurt on that field too in 2017.
Yeah, I know. You never know. You hope Neighbors is young enough where he's gonna be able to bounce back from it, and he'll still be okay, and be a talented wide receiver that he's been for the Giants early on in his career here. But yeah, it's something where kind of hurts your team. You lose a guy like that, especially Jackson Dart. Now that you lose, one of the best wide receivers out there, and you love to have Dart throw to him. So yeah, it's tough, and you would think, because they keep the player safer, because man, it feels like more every year there's just more and more injuries in the sport, and like you read it takes 5 minutes to read injury reports now.
I know.
In the sport with so many injuries, so you like the player safety to be a big part of it. But we'll see if the NFL steps in, because I think they should, because they care about player safety.
Yeah, they need to. At this point, they need to step in. They absolutely do. Now, going from one wide receiver being out for the year to the other one, to another wide receiver, another star receiver, that's Tyreek Hill, and he has a gruesome injury on Monday night. He's out for the season for the Dolphins. And the question, 2 things is here, two questions really here I have is, number one, is Tyreek Hill ever going to be the same at 31? To me, I don't think so. And then number 2, can the Dolphins make a run to the playoffs without him? Because they did win on Monday night, and I'm going to say no, because I just don't think their defense is good enough. They're just not good enough. They're not as good as they were 2 years ago. Their coach is on the hot seat, and their quarterback has been inconsistent this year. So I'm going to say no and no to both questions.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because I don't think Tyreek's going to be the same again. Because even like last year, like last year was, I think he went over a calendar year without a 30-yard reception. And he hadn't been the same the last kind of year. Even like last year wasn't great. He almost had 1,000 yards, and this year early on hasn't totally been great. There's some chemistry issues, it seemed like, between him and Tua. I think at his age, I think it's be tough for him to come back. And yeah, I don't think this Dolphins team, congrats, they beat the Jets. The Jets do what they always do and shoot themselves in the foot. And I think with their schedule, I think this is probably a 3rd place team in the AFC East. I don't think they're going to contend for a wild card spot.
I agree with you there. I think it's a 3rd place team that's probably going to win maybe 6, maybe 7 games max. And Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer will probably be fired at the end of the season. Or they're just not fired now. You could argue if they lost on Monday night, McDaniel would probably be fired. But looking at the schedule the Dolphins have coming up, I can see McDaniel surviving pretty much most of the season now for the Dolphins. And speaking of that schedule, the Dolphins have another winnable game against the Panthers this week in Carolina. I think this game is close and competitive. I think it's back and forth. I think Bryce Young plays well. I think Tua plays well. But I think this game comes down to the end, and I think Tua leads the game-winning drive. And I got the Dolphins here 27-24 over the Panthers. But Justin, can Bryce Young bounce back this week and get the Panthers to 2-3?
Yeah, I think they played well. I think they bounced back this week. I got the Panthers at home 27-23. I think Carolina does usually play better on the road. I think Bryce Young does play better this week. I think he makes some plays against this Miami defense. Carolina's got to work on their punt coverage team because that was brutal. They were awful in that area last week, and I think Tua makes a mistake or two in this one. And I'll take the Panthers here at home to move to 2-3.
You got the Panthers moving to 2-3. We got the Cowboys heading to MetLife Stadium this week to take on the Jets. And I think Dak Prescott continues to stay hot. I think he throws 2 or 3 touchdown passes. I think Javonte Williams runs the ball well. And I think the Jets make plays because everybody does them against the Cowboys defense, but I just think they get too far behind where I think Justin Fields even turns the ball over against the Cowboys defense. And I think the Cowboys win here. I got them winning it by double digits. I really like the way Dak's been playing. He's playing MVP level football. Sadly for him, he doesn't have the best defensive player on the other side of the ball, which is probably why that team won't make the playoffs. But Dak Prescott's playing as well as any quarterback right now. He played outstanding on Sunday night. And I got the Cowboys winning here 31-20 over the Jets. But Justin, can Justin Fields lead the Jets their first win of the season?
I got the Cowboys in this one 31-26. The Jets looked awful last week. Eric Glenn has not changed a thing. That's the same old Jets team we've seen. Justin Fields in his NFL career, when his opponents put up 21 or more points, is 0 for 25. I think he moves to 0-26. I don't think this Jets defense is stopping Dallas. You're right about that. Dak's playing really good football right now, maybe the best in his career, and I think he puts up big numbers against this Jets defense that struggled all year. They're not going to get many stops, but I do think Justin Fields in their offense is pretty productive on the ground. But their defense won't make any stops for him. And Dallas wins this football game and gets their second one in the year.
All righty, we got the Commanders heading to LA to face the Chargers. And I don't know if Jaden Daniels, we don't know who's going to play yet. If Jaden Daniels is going to play, if Terry McLaurin's going to play, if Joe Alt's going to play for the Chargers. But assuming they all do, I think this game is close and competitive. But I do think Jaden Daniels has a big game. I think they run the ball. I think the key is because the Giants ran the ball pretty well on the Chargers. I think they run the ball well. I think the Commanders run the ball well. I think if Jaden Daniels plays those a couple touchdown passes, and I do think it comes down to the end, and Justin Herbert makes that big mistake, like he does against a lot of in a lot of games. And I know he didn't against the Broncos, but he does in a lot of games. I think Justin Herbert makes that big mistake at the end. That's why I'm going to go with the Commanders here, 27-23 over the Chargers. But Justin, can the Chargers bounce back this week and stay on top in the AFC West?
Yeah, I think they do. I got Chargers 24-21. I think the Chargers finally got a little bit of that running game going last week. Amari Hampton had a pretty good game on the ground. I think that carries over to this week. And yeah, whoever plays quarterback for the Commanders, either Mariota or Jaden Daniels, I think both of them play pretty well in this one. But I will trust the Chargers defense to make a stop late in this game and win the football game. And Harbaugh and the Chargers move to 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, but yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's going to go either way, but I like the Commanders in the spot. I like the Commanders in the spot, and I just don't think the Chargers are as good as people think. I think that quarterback is good. He's not great. That defense, a lot of good, not great with the Chargers. Outside of the coach, the coach, a lot of good with the Chargers, not great with the Chargers. So I'm taking the Commanders here. I'm going Commanders here, 27-23. Now we will move on to a game in Baltimore between the Texans and the Ravens. The Ravens had insult to injury with their loss last week. They lost. There's a good chance they might not have Lamar Jackson for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So there definitely is concern with the Ravens. They have Justin Matabuke. He's out for the season too. So there definitely is concern with the Ravens there. And you look at the Texans; they won last week. I thought that was a good get right game against the Titans. They played really well, and I think they win again this week. I think if Lamar doesn't play, if Lamar plays, I think the Ravens win. But if Lamar doesn't, I think the Texans win because I think the Texans pass rush is going to force Cooper Rush to turn the ball over a couple times. I think C.J. Stroud is going to manage the game. I think Nick Chubb is getting enough yards on the ground, and that's why I got the Texans upsetting the Chargers 20-17. But Justin, can Baltimore bounce back this week and get to 2-3?
No, I'm with you here with the Texans. If Lamar's out, I got him 21-13. No Lamar really hurts him. I think Cooper makes a couple plays, but I think that Texans pass rush is going to get after Cooper Rush, and he's going to make a couple mistakes this one. Um, and the Texans found some semblance of a running game. I know Chubb's been decent, and then you found a guy, Woody Marks as well, who had a pretty good game on the ground last week. That's going to help him out, and I think Trout makes enough plays. I don't think his offense, he may make some more plays against this Ravens defense that's just so banged up and is not very good right now. I think he's got a little bit more time in the pocket than he usually does, and I think he makes enough plays, and Baltimore drops a 1-4.
And we saw Baltimore last week. Lamar Jackson go out of the game. All those injuries on defense, too. Matabuke out for the season. Roquan Smith, he got hurt. Marlon Humphrey got hurt. Nate Wiggins got hurt. All those injuries from Baltimore. The big question is, how concerned should we be about Baltimore? And I think we should be very concerned about them the next 2 weeks. I think there's a good chance. If Lamar doesn't play, I think they lose the next 2 games to the Rams or the Texans at home. I think they lose those 2 games. But I still, even if they go 1-5, I still think they make the playoffs because they got a bye week after that. And if you look at their schedule after that, say Lamar's back, you look at their schedule. Home to Chicago, at Miami. Vikings will be a tough game. At Cleveland will be a tough divisional game. Jets at home. Bengals at home without Joe Burrow. Steelers at home will be tough. At the Bengals, got the Patriots, and the Packers and Steelers wrap up. I do think, even if they start 1-5, they'll still get a wild card. But if they don't find a way to win the next 2 games, it's going to be hard. There's a good chance they might lose that division to Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers.
Yeah, if they go to 1-5, I think they're going to miss out on the playoffs.
Ooh, wow.
With all the defensive injuries, I know last week I kind of took them. I felt better about them than the Chiefs, but now with Lamar going to be out the next couple of weeks, with how bad they played last week, with now the piling up defensive injuries that they have, I think the Steelers win the division because they could be a couple. You're already going to be maybe 4 games back of them, and I could see the Patriots go. Like, I don't know if this team the rest of the way could go. So if they go 1-5, they'd have to go 10-1, 9-2. That's pretty tough. I get the schedule's not daunting, but I think they'd probably split with the Steelers. You probably get both the Bengals. I don't think they're going to Green Bay and winning. Maybe get the Vikings. I just see having a hard time getting in at 9-8, or I just see them having a hard time getting to 9-8 if they start out 1-5, because you're gonna have to, yeah. I think it to be I didn't be too tough of a hill to climb for them to crawl out of.
Yeah, we'll see. But I do think with Harbaugh and Lamar, I don't think they're cooked yet. A lot of people are saying they're cooked. I don't think they're cooked. I still think when you trust the coach and the quarterback, even if they start 1-5, I still think they could sneak into the playoffs. I still think they do. Now, staying in the AFC North, we got a matchup between the Lions and the Bengals. And the Bengals are a disaster right now. They're an absolute disaster. And that continues on Sunday because now, with the way the Lions have played after week 1 was bad. But after week 1, the Lions, to me, have looked like probably the best team in the NFC. Again, they're probably back to being the best team in the NFC because of their identity, their run game, the way their defense has played pretty well, too. Their defense has played pretty well. Their run game, their offensive line, Jared Goff has played well. And I think this is a total blowout. I got the Lions here big. I got them here big beating the Bengals. Bengals got to go out and get a quarterback. This is ridiculous. They got to go out and trade for a quarterback. This is absurd. I got the Lions big, 34-10 over the Bengals. And Justin, I agree. I think you got. I'm assuming you got the same.
Yeah, I got the Lions as well, 28-12. Yeah, Bengals. They might be one of the worst teams. They're probably in the bottom 5 of the NFL right now. Without Burrow, Bronny hasn't looked good, but that offensive line ain't going to help. And even if Burrow comes back, that offensive line is not going to help him out. He's just going to get hurt again with having to play behind that old line. I would not bring him back this year. But yeah, I agree with you. The Lions, they're starting to really play some good football, and I would love to see them play Green Bay again next week, and see how see where, because those 2 teams are now in completely different spots, and but I think the Lions dominate this one. I think they win by a couple scores, and the Bengals too play Monday night out west. Now you get another travel spot on the road Sunday. It's just a tough spot, so I get the Lions in this one by a couple scores.
I think you're going to hear a lot of boos in that stadium and fire Jack Taylor chants in that stadium because Zach Taylor, the way they look without Joe Burrow, they look like one of the worst teams, and they look as bad as the Titans without Joe Burrow. They look terrible without Joe Burrow. Now we move on to a AFC matchup between the Raiders and Colts, and I think the Colts take their anger out last week at what happened on the Raiders. Raiders have Colton Miller out. I think Geno Smith keeps turning the ball over. I think that Daniel Jones has a big week this week. And I got the Colts here cruising. I got the Colts 30-13 over the Raiders. But Justin, can Geno Smith bounce back this week and finally get the Raiders back in the win column?
No, I got the Colts as well, 30-21. I just don't see how the Raiders keep up. This Geno he's guaranteed to at least throw at least one interception a week now. He's been brutal. At least you got Ashton Genty going with a couple of touchdowns last week. Actually, my brother told me before the game, so I don't know if this is still true. I haven't seen him since. I guess 100% of Jenny's touches, he's been getting hit behind the line of scrimmage in all of them. Wow. Like he has not. It's been that bad. Wow, yeah. So I just think Jonathan Taylor just does whatever cars off the defense. I think Genty has a couple good carries, but I just don't think his offensive line is going to help him out. So I got the Colts in this one by 9.
Yeah, I agree. Colts should win here. Now, interesting matchup in Seattle. You got two quarterbacks that have. I mean, Baker Mayfield's obviously had a career renaissance with the Bucs, but how about Sam Darnold here? You got to give some credit to Sam Darnold. That game-winning drive last week, he's got the Seahawks at 3-1, playing well. I think it's a close, competitive game, but I got to take the quarterback I trust a little bit more, and that's Baker Mayfield. And I trust the run game of the Bucs a little bit more. Even though both teams are good at stopping the run, I trust the run game a little bit more in Tampa Bay. Even though Tampa Bay won't have Mike Evans, I think they'll run the football a little bit better. Because I think Seattle has to run the ball out of 12 personnel to have success. Tampa Bay can run it out of any formation. So I'm going to go with the Bucs here. Go with the quarterback I trust more, and the run game I trust more. I'm going to go with the Bucs here, 24-23. But Justin, can Sam Darnold get the Seahawks to 4-1?
Yeah, I think they do. I got Seattle 23-18. Yeah, Darnold got him in field goal range. That new kickoff rule is dumb, where you get at the 40-yard line. 40. They're practically in field goal range already.
Yeah, but I like it because it makes it more entertaining. I think it makes the game more entertaining.
I've never really been big on the kickoff. The kickoff. I can take it or leave it. Like I just think giving them the ball at the 40-yard line is just you're practically Aubrey's in field goal range. You got 5 yards. Like it's just you're practically in field goal range. But good for the Seattle there to pull out that one. Tampa lost a tough one last week. I still think they're a little bit too banged up for this one. And I think Darnold probably does throw an interception too. Maybe that costs him. But I do think Seattle does enough here on the ground. I think Sam Darnold makes enough plays with his arm. And I think Justin said, but Nibba has a good game through the reception-wise. And they do pull out a win at home.
All right, we'll wrap up talking about the Titans and the Cardinals. And even with the issues between Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray connecting, even with James Conner out, the Titans are just absolutely terrible. Cam Ward called him out after the game, and I think he's gonna make some plays, but he's also gonna make mistakes. And I think Kyler Murray has a good game against the Cardinals defense. As I got the Cards by 2 scores, getting to 3-2. I got the Cardinals 27-17. But Justin, can Cam Ward lead the Titans to his first win as a starter?
No, I got Arizona 27-13. As long as they're not sleepy, I think they take care of business. And since Brian Callen's taken over, the Titans are 3-18 at the spread, and they're like a 6-7 point dog every week. So they can't even cover those spreads. So that kind of tells you how bad the Titans have been. I think it continues. As long as Arizona does have a sleep performance like they did against Carolina, they should take care of business in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think Arizona should take care of business and get to 3-2. Now that's going to wrap up this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. But in about 15 minutes, we have Week 6 of college football, and we got Alabama trying to get revenge against a team you might not think they're getting revenge against. But we will talk about that next, and make sure in about 50 minutes. So make sure you tune in for that.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men, and great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.